Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be talking about transit north node, square opposition, or inconjunct one's natal midheaven. Now, when we're talking about transits that involve the north node, it could be about one's future, destiny, mission, purpose, what you're learning and aspiring to be, where you're directed toward. And it could also be connected with issues one may have to address and confront. Now, when you have this transit, basically making an adverse aspect to one's natal midheaven, well, I'm going to elaborate on it. First, see the squares and oppositions, of course, those aspects are adverse and negative in astrology. The inconjunct, though it's neutral, neutral aspects can have good and bad qualities, and coupled with the fact that an inconjunct can often require an adjustment or a transition. So, and that, of course, can cause some exasperation and tension. So, collectively, basically, I do see this as an adverse transit. Now, anyway, um, the thing about this is when you have transit north node, again, basically making an adverse aspect to one's natal midheaven, it may manifest in one's future, one's destiny, what one is learning and aspiring to be, the mission, purpose, where you may be directed toward, and also issues that may have to be addressed and confronted that might conflict with one's career. If the if midheaven is in Aquarius, it could be a career in astrology or astronomy or innovation, electronics, meteorology, aviation as some examples. And the midheaven is also connected with laborious work. It is the midheaven is really it's about the career, but it can also be about our responsibilities and hard labor as well. And the thing about this too is it might be more of an effort, and maybe it's more of an arduous task to go after your future at this time. Some cases there may be some chronic illness. Saturn is connected with chronic illnesses, and which might be challenging really what your future is at this time, what you're actually aspiring and learning to be, your mission, your purpose at this time. The thing is, if natal Saturn is in Virgo as an example, it might be something with digestive issues, or could be intestinal problems, or something with the spleen, as some examples. And the thing is, too, now the midheaven is also associated with the reputation and public image, and it may be some cases something adverse might happen with the reputation and public image. Maybe this somehow stalls where you feel you're directed toward your future, where you feel you need to go at this time, and it could be qualities and attributes that you're trying to develop at this point in time, or it might be that maybe you're obsessing over your reputation and public image, and it's such where it's making it harder to pursue your future during this transit. Now, the midheaven is also connected with the dominant parent, which is often the father. There might be activities that are connected with this person that's challenging, where you feel you're directed toward, where you feel you need to go at this point in time of the transit. It could be maybe the dominant parent is not in agreement with where you feel your future is and is trying to dissuade you perhaps from going toward it. Again, it can be more of a laborious effort trying to go after your future, and if you have the dominant parent that's not in favor of it, well, that of course can make it even more difficult and arduous, I would say. The midheaven is also associated with authority figures and older people. So it could be that you might be if you're in a situation where you're at a job where you're a subordinate or subservient worker, and you have to answer to somebody in authority, you might feel this time that your future is not connected with that anymore. It might be a time where you might be striving for more freedom and independence as a result. Because again, remember that the North Node is connected with the future, the destiny. The midheaven is associated with authority figures, and it's older people and authority figures as well. And you might not feel like you need to be answering to authority figures at this time. If you're in a position, or you're in a situation, I should say, that you're trying to move from one career vocation to the next, it could be that that supervisor might really not be in favor of it. And a lot of times this could happen regardless of transits, but it might be more pronounced and prominent during this transit, as it may be a greater propensity for that at this time as opposed to many other transits. So anyway, and it might be too, again, the midheaven is connected with responsibilities. You might be stuck with some responsibilities that are maybe derailing you from going after your future at this time. Say for example, if the natal Saturn is in the zodiac sign Cancer and or the 4th house, it could be home responsibilities, whether it's organizing or it could be some kind of home renovation. Say if the natal Saturn is in Sagittarius in the 4th house, it could be expanding upon the home or adding some kind of like an extension or partition as some examples. The midheaven is also connected with our achievements and our accomplishments. And maybe at this time during this transit, you might be feeling, well, maybe you might feel comfortable perhaps in what you're accomplishing, whether it's at your current position or what have you. If you're somewhat successful in whatever it is you're doing, maybe you're so accomplishment driven that you're not really thinking about going after what you feel maybe the future is at this time. It could be, and the fact that the North Node is also, what you're directed toward. It could also manifest this transit in really not feeling like you're directed toward being achievement oriented or accomplishing things in general this time. Maybe you feel it's not part of what you want to be doing, as far as where you may be directed toward. Now, the midheaven is also connected with notoriety, status, and recognition. So the thing about this is, you're so immersed at this time in gaining some kind of notoriety or public recognition, exposure, that it might be, maybe it's prohibiting you from going after what maybe you believe you need to learn and aspire to be at this time, where you feel you may be directed toward. It's important not to get caught up in the spotlight, or as far as career accolades or recognition, because as far as that goes, it can conflict with where where your future might really lie during the time of this transit. Now, the midheaven is also connected with the stature in life and your social status. It's about where you stack up with others. You might feel at this time that your future is not really so much about worrying about where you are in relation to others. It could simply be about just being, the best you can be as far as appeasing yourself, not worried about, how you are in contrast to others, whether it's, monetary, status, or what have you at this point in time. And the thing too is, another way that this transit could manifest, it could be that qualities that you may need to develop could conflict with the career at this time. Let's say, for example, if the transit North Node is in, say it's in the Aquarius, say it's in the Aquarius in the 5th house, it could be about just simply being unobtrusive, selfless, and considerate toward children, toward lovers. At this time, if it falls in the 4th house, it could be expressing those qualities and attributes toward home and family members, the less dominant parent, which is often the mother, and people you're simply close to home with. Hold on a moment, people. Sorry about that, I'm back, but anyway. Now, also, too, another way this transit may be expressed, it could be that issues that need to be addressed and confronted that might conflict with responsibilities at this time. Say, if the transit north node is in, Gemini or Pisces, even it's in the first house, it could be where maybe there was some kind of, impersonation, which is Gemini, and I would say, or Pisces. Pisces is the chameleon of the zodiac, and it could be of the impersonation of yourself, the first house, your identity. The sun also is very strong connected with the identity as well. The sun is actually really, I would say, more associated with that than the first house, but the first house can play a role in, because the first house is the, the self, and or the self that is least projected outwardly. But anyway, another thing too is another way this transit may manifest. It could be where the future wise may challenge matters with the dominant parent, authority figures, or even older people. If transit north node is in Virgo in the 11th house, it could be servicing, which is Virgo, and the 11th house is computers. It could even be defragging. Maybe you're doing something with defragging or compartmentalizing files on the computer. It could also be at this time what you're learning and aspiring to be may challenge laborious work. And the thing is, this could be doing something. Say if the transit north node is in Pisces in the 12th house, it might be doing something, the less fortunate, that you simply are not, really divulging to others at this time. Or say if the transit north node, is in Aries in the 10th house, it could be something, or say it's in the 6th house. It's the transit north node is in Aries in the 6th house. It could be, some hard labor that's connected with carpentry, or welding, as some examples, or arson investigation. Well, anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment. Until next time, Edwin Learnard saying, stay well.